Florio, I was off last week doing Sports Jeopardy, and all of a sudden I'm looking at Twitter, and Florio was just going off. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk joins us now. Man, have you settled down?
What was I mad about?
I think Deflategate and Brady and Belichick and all those things.
Well, it is such a weird situation, and I don't know who to be mad at, so I'm just mad at everybody. The NFL made this mess.
Yes.
If you're going to bring out that bat and start swinging it, and you better be able to connect deflated footballs to wrongdoing. I think that's where this went off the rails very early for the NFL. I think they believed that if they could merely catch the Patriots with underinflated footballs, that the smoking gun would just fall out of somebody's suitcase. And that hasn't happened. And I don't know that it's going to happen, and I don't know how they're going to be able to convincingly connect the Patriots to actual wrongdoing, and it's quite possible that there was no actual wrongdoing, and it's all a big mess now, and the NFL is responsible for it.
You brought up a great point that the previous commissioner, Paul Tagliabue, would have just said to the Patriots, I'm hearing some stuff, knock it off, guys, that don't let it happen again, whereas it doesn't sound like, even though, according to Richard Sherman, there's a cozy relationship between Robert Kraft and Roger Goodell, that maybe he didn't get that heads-up call to say, guys, knock this off before it becomes something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, that's some of the buzz around the league, the idea that Roger Goodell's the enforcer, as he was dubbed on the cover of Time magazine a couple of years ago, that you enforce by deterring. You deter by catching people in the act, not by working behind the scenes to try to solve problems before they become problems. And there just needs to be a better application of foresight, whether it's Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson, Greg Hardy, this case with the Patriots. You don't just do things and then worry later about how it's all going to look. You have to be able to sit down and say, okay, if I start down this path, where is it ultimately going to lead me? And I think that's one thing that the league office currently is lacking, because we've seen it time and again. They find themselves having launched into a chain of events that makes everybody look bad, and it all could have been avoided if they had really sat down and thought it through ahead of time.
Is it now unfair to sit down with Tom Brady if you're the commissioner?
Unfair to sit down with him and interview him, you mean?
Right now, yeah.
No, well, to do it now, I think, yeah, they had their window last week. I don't know why they didn't do it last week. Now, you typically start at the bottom and work your way to the top. I assume they would have spoken to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels and everyone else on the offensive coaching staff before they left. But they set up shop early last week. They stayed for a couple of days. They left without talking to Brady. And I understand the union potentially involved. You have to have representation. But this gets back to the original point. If you're going to do this, it can't be something that lingers for 4 months. You better be darn sure that if you find those footballs to be underinflated, that you can connect the dots quickly and conclusively and get this thing over with one way or the other in a matter of days, not in a matter of weeks. And when the statement came out from the NFL on Friday, it was obvious that this thing's going to hang around for a while, just like every other scandal that the NFL's had the last few years. And this is one that shouldn't hang around, and it should have been resolved before the teams came here to Arizona.
He's Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk. You can see him every night, including here in Arizona, 5:30 Eastern with Pro Football Talk, Monday through Friday. Josh Gordon, done in Cleveland. Is he done in the NFL?
Well, here's the thing. Suspended for a full year. He continues to be tested, Dan, while he is suspended. And it's not just marijuana and other substances that are illegal street drugs. It's also alcohol. And some people think maybe he wasn't completely aware he was being tested for alcohol. Now, I don't know the answer to that question. But because of the DUI he had last year, and he pleaded guilty to it to avoid the 2-game suspension that kicked in for any cases resolved after November 1 under the new substance abuse policy. But alcohol testing's part of it. Matt Prater was suspended by the NFL when he was still with the Broncos because he tested positive for alcohol. That's what happened to Gordon. Now, he's got to stay clean for a year. And if he doesn't, he's not going to get back in. Justin Blackmon, the receiver from the Jaguars, I mean, he's never been heard from because he apparently can't stay clean during this year and a half now that he's been suspended.
Dan Quinn in Atlanta after the Super Bowl?
Yeah, anytime they start hiring your assistant coaches, that's a sign that it's just a matter, one of the worst-kept secrets the NFL's ever had. A week or two from, not a week or two, a week or maybe a week and a day from now, it's going to be Dan Quinn as the new head coach of the Falcons.
Any of the Pro Bowl rules, the field goals experiments, can you see anything put into play here anytime soon?
Well, I think there's going to continue to be a push to make the extra point a little more difficult, make field goals more difficult, just to generate more touchdowns and fewer field goals. You know what? That gets back to Deflategate. I mean, that at the core of all of this, doesn't the NFL want the quarterbacks to be comfortable throwing the footballs?
Yes.
That's where this thing has become an even bigger mess. Now, are they going to have 30 brand new footballs every game straight out of the box that the quarterbacks aren't going to be able to throw? Is that what's going to happen? And then it's going to be back to 13-10 every week, and fantasy football is going to die? That's another reason why they should have thought this thing through before they pulled the pin on the grenade.
I'll see you later this week, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
That's Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk.